Welcome to Storytimer at Large. Brandie Peltz. Brandie Peltz was a fifth grader in Mr. Carragher's class in 1986. The 11-year-old girl was the only child of her parents Roxy and Stephen Peltz. Brandie had been born on October 11, 1975, so she had only been 11 for a couple of months. The family lived just south of Argos, Indiana, on Michigan Road, Old US 31. Argos is a tiny town south of South Bend, Indiana, between Plymouth and Rochester. In the weeks before this incident, the Peltz family had been receiving obscene phone calls. Someone would call and breathe into the phone heavily and not speak at all. The family was annoyed by the calls, but they hadn't felt threatened by the calls. It had seemed more like a prank than like something sinister. The caller probably wasn't speaking because he feared they would recognize his voice. On December 11, 1986, Brandie was home from school because she was not feeling well. Since she was 11 and very responsible, her parents had left her home alone while they went to work. When I was 11, my family did the same thing. I stayed home alone many times as an 11-year-old. Her mother, Roxy, came home over her lunch break and saw Brandie then. At some point after her mom went back to work, a man entered the Peltz home. He raped and strangled Brandie. He placed her body in the full downstairs bathtub and then set the house on fire. I imagine he was trying to burn the bedding or wherever he had raped her. The first case of DNA being used to convict a perpetrator happened in 1987 in England. And this is 1986, and it wasn't long until it was used in the US as well. So DNA and the thought of a DNA test isn't in the picture yet. So why did he put her in the bathtub? Did he put her in the water to wash away evidence? Possibly. Did he put her in the water so her body wouldn't burn up in the fire? Possibly. And that to me suggests someone with a strong Christian background. Perhaps they wanted to preserve her physical body. There are people that believe that your entire physical body is what will be resurrected when Jesus comes back. And so perhaps he thought, well, we'll put her in the bathtub, and then she won't burn up, and her body won't be destroyed. And then when Jesus comes back, he can resurrect her. That's just one theory. Wonder why he did put her in the water. But he definitely wanted to destroy and obliterate what he had done in that house, it seems to me. Someone passing by the house about 3 p.m. noticed the smoke and called the fire department. Brandie's nude and lifeless body was found in a tub full of water, but she had not drowned. She was already dead from strangulation when she was placed in the tub. The name of the passerby was not released. Police ruled him out as a suspect immediately. Why? Who was he? Did he have an airtight alibi? I assume so, because he was ruled out. Who would know that Brandie was home alone? Who would know that she had not gone to school? Someone at the school? Someone nearby who saw who got on the bus and who didn't? A neighbor, possibly? Could it be someone who drove a regular route that went past the house and took note of her waiting for the bus or not waiting for the bus? Sometimes as a high school student, I'd be driving to school and sort of get stuck behind the bus at some point each day. It seemed to be a regular thing. I would get stuck behind the bus and have to follow the bus for a while from stop to stop, not able to pass. Was there a driver, not necessarily a teenager, who drove a similar sort of route and saw who was getting on the bus and who wasn't every morning? Or perhaps someone who drove a delivery route. Those are some thoughts. Maybe it was the obscene phone caller who had been calling lately. Perhaps he called and she answered in case it was her mom calling after lunch. Phones did not have caller ID then. You had to answer it to find out who it was. My suspicion is that it can only be someone fairly close to the family, though. Someone who had targeted Brandie in the weeks and months before. I think the caller was the perpetrator. I wonder if the calls ended after Brandie's death or if they continued. Was this her first sick day at home this week? Or was it like the second or third day? I did manage to find out that this was a Thursday, and she had been homesick all week. That window of time is small. That lunch break with Mom until 3 p.m. when the fire was spotted is a short window of time. Was someone watching the house to see when the mom would leave after lunch? Where did Brandie's mom work? Where did Brandie's dad work? Was there a co-worker of either one who left work for a couple hours that afternoon, knowing Brandie was home alone? The family went to the Argos Wesleyan Church, led by Reverend Robert Humphrey. Some churches have prayer circles. These are groups who pray for those in need in their community. People will even let the circle know if someone is homesick so they can pray for them. Was that the case here? Did someone with access to the prayer list do this? We all know that predators can hide very easily in plain sight in the pews at a church. My gut instinct is that this was someone very close by in the community. The killer had to know that Brandie was home alone. A killer did not just knock on doors that day hoping to find a child at home at random. I think the killer felt confident driving there and parking their car. But perhaps they didn't park their car there at all. Perhaps they lived close enough to simply walk there or ride a bike. The killer knew that he had time. He knew Brandie's parents would not be coming home soon. He knew when to leave. He knew their work schedule. He also probably knew that a school bus was coming down that road pretty soon. His chances of being spotted were going to be even greater then. Was this killer connected to her school? Was he a close friend of the family? Some schools in the 1980s wanted parents to call and let them know about absences. Perhaps parents had called in to say that their child would not be there today, and maybe they'd made arrangements for another child to bring home the homework. Was there anyone who might have overheard that information or saw it written down somewhere? Who was bringing Brandie her homework those days that she was out of school? Was this killer a co-worker of one of her parents? A friend of the family? Maybe. The Peltz family had a dog in the house that day. I feel like the killer was already well acquainted with the dog. The killer might have been a dog owner and comfortable with dogs. The dog seems not to have been any sort of obstacle to this crime. Perhaps there's someone that has harbored a suspicion about a suspect all these years. Maybe there was a man in town that was creepy, but they don't have any proof. Send that tip in anyway. Perhaps there's someone who knows something. Maybe they felt loyal in the past, but they don't feel that loyalty anymore. Hopefully that person will come forward. Let the police know what you're thinking, what your tip is, what your inclination is, so that testing can potentially take place. Even though Brandie's killer tried to eliminate evidence by placing her in the tub and setting the house on fire, evidence could still be there. It doesn't take a large amount of DNA evidence now to build a profile. Did investigators clip her nails and save those clippings? Even if she was in the water, DNA could still have been preserved under her nails. This case seems solvable. I wonder if police are working on a genetic genealogy type situation with whatever evidence they have here. Perhaps they can find the killer that way. Maybe he's someone who didn't have a criminal background yet that we know about, so he's not in any sort of system. I've known a child predator personally, and I can tell you this about them. Look at the nicest, most polite man. He will be remarkably nice, overly sweet. He will typically talk endlessly about God and religion and how wonderful uh, God is and how wonderfully holy He Himself is. He will be that person that insists that everybody pray before the meal. So, if you're thinking about back in the day of someone who might have been like that in that town, maybe submit that tip and let investigators know what you suspect. If you have information about the murder of Brandie Peltz, please call the Indiana State Police at 1-800-552-2959 or 1-574-546-4900. Cases that get attention get solved. So if you would like, you can share this YouTube video, and I'll post the link in the comments. And I'll also put the phone numbers for investigators in the comments to make it a little easier for you. Thank you so much for listening. Rest in peace, Brandie Peltz.